Aquí estamos.
Aquí estamos.
Here we are at SpiritQuest Sanctuary. This is my third time here now, and over the course of a 7-year period, and I'm here with Selva Lawler, and I just want to know, would you like me to give you an introduction, or would you like to introduce yourself a little more?
I think you can go ahead.
Okay. So Selva Lawler is the owner of SpiritQuest Sanctuary here in Iquitos, on the river of the Rio Momon, and this is a healing sanctuary for human beings to find the light within themselves, which we're all trying to do together by showing it to each other and one another. And Selva facilitates ayahuasca and Huachumera here, and the course of time that most people come here, or people come here for, is either for 1 week or a total of 2 weeks. The first week is the ayahuasca ceremonies. The second week is the Huachumera. Selva comes from a family of healers. Her father had a very big impact on my life. His name was Howard Lawler, and not only did your father have a big impact on my life, you've had just as big an impact on my life. And I feel very honoured that we can be here and have this conversation today.
I'm really happy too.
So thank you, sister. I wanted to ask you, can you remember your earliest memories of coming here as a child?
The earliest memories. Well, as you know, the first time when SpiritQuest was able to be open and being able to have a foundation was originally in a different kind of place.
Oh, really?
So my really earliest memories of being in the sanctuary, about what the work was really built up, and when we have groups, visitors, and friends just coming to work with the medicine with us, was in this place. And the only memory that I could have was just playing around in the woods, in the fields, being really in nature, and just being sitting in ceremony nights without really being aware of what was going on, but was just how I was raised, and everything just looked extremely normal. And I think it was when we finally moved to the current location that we are in the Rio Momon, even when I was able to awaken the awareness of what was really going on, and what was the mission of the sanctuary, what was the work of my father, what was the path that he was trying to cultivate and grow into every participant who choose to work with the medicine or introduce themselves with this kind of realm. So my earliest memories here is probably going to be just beginning the work, being able to be just one more member of the staff, knowing the groups, their personalities, even before I was able to know the reason why they came here, being able to touch with who they are as a usually human before I'm being able to recognize what the deep work we are willing to do and to work for. So yeah, I would say those will be the earliest that I can really remember.
Oh, wow. And at that time when SpiritQuest Sanctuary was set up on Rio Momon, right here where we are now, was your father working with Don Robert there then, or was he working with somebody else?
He was always working with Don Robert.
Okay.
Yeah, any previous master that he probably had, I couldn't really met them. So since my earliest memories, Don Robert always being the first and the only one to work with in talking about medicine-wise, ayahuasca-wise. So I was not able to meet anyone else than him.
So, and you were saying to me last night that you remember going to Don Rober as a child and being like, I've got a sore stomach, can you help me? And
Yes,
so
correct.
in combination with that, I'm fully aware that your journey with the plant started from such a young age. But it seems that your intuition of the plants also started at such a young age. And can you speak a little bit about when you used to go to him and how how the relationship between you and him has been over time as you've grown up and now taken over looking after SpiritQuest Sanctuary?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was not really aware about how his medicine was working, how he was doing the feelings, how he was applying, what kind of spirit, energy, or vibration he was putting into my body to be able to heal and moves all the spots within to be able to find the proper line of healing side of it. Can be physical, can be more emotional, can be more even mental sometimes when I feel with low energy or physical pain or just emotionally just start crying because any kind of emotion that I come to. I never was really like called or drawn to the traditional normal methods that people can call because for some reason I thought they just, as a kid, feeling that they taste bad or they were overly painful or just taking longer and longer to be able to feel the results or the healing after it. And with Don Rover, just with his calmness, being able to just sing for me, to also give me in this calming state to be able to fully open. And yeah, for some reason I really decided to work with him because as you probably already know, I always love to just play with the plants, to be with the plants, to work with the plants in certain kind of like childish way. So having him using the plants as a main healing or doctor method was just more comforting for me. I could feel that I can really trust, that I can really relax and really just allow the medicine to work. And I think that slowly, even though I was not having my awareness of the real purpose of them, it was just start cultivating more and more and more, and I was able to finally understand what the real reason why we are here in the sanctuary and what the really work are about, what the real reason of the rover being here. And I've been just a little bit more curious about it, okay, if these plants can heal something really small in a child's body with so much innocence, um, fragile states, why adults, big people, are coming to it, coming from really far away if they can solve something so small. So recognize that if they're willing for coming from all many different places, many different states, many different worlds, there should be something bigger for them to be able to join in this kind of journey, right? So I was just being more curious, never really asking much of questions, but just trying to be present, just trying to observe, not analyzing too much, but just observe that dynamic. If I was able to hear something, just to be able to catch it and to be able just to, by my own interpretation about what I can do it in a more, innocent perception rather than trying to add logic, to analyze it, to be able to just put any kind of like sense in it. So yeah, I think that helped me a lot to be able just to get more into the medicinal state because I was not trying to make it logical, but really see the potential that it has, the results, the change, the transformation, and how people during the week was able to just struggle with whatever that they have to, with the different waves that they are placed on. But at the end of the week, even though they look so quite of tired in the process, at the end they just leave the place with a big smile, just loving each other and being always showing gratitude to my dad, to Don Rover. I've been like, there's something here. So I've been more interested, and I think that's when I was able to speak to my dad and tell him about, I think I want to learn what you teach, and that when he was open to do so. So I'm really glad that my dad never was like, now that you're my daughter, you're gonna need to be my apprentice, but he was really waiting for me to introduce myself to the medicine and not trying to implant the medicinal tradition, just letting me choose the path of it. So yeah.
And do you remember when your relationship with ayahuasca started?
Ooh, I think the relationship was able to begin exactly the same day that I took it, actually, because before of that, I only could see people throwing up, going to the toilet, crawling a little bit. So the only perception that I have in the outside physical realm was like a lot of work. A lot of people feel how sometimes they say it miserable. But I also again thought, but they keep doing it. and people just keep coming with it. At the end, people just show so much appreciation for it, and there's so much information that people just provide about this medicine. So I just give it like opportunity to it, because also my dad explained me about what it's mainly about. But at the end, I'm gonna create my own relationship with it. Ayahuasca can help many people, but not many people can really be compatible with the style, the personality, the presence of the medicine. So I was just being aware of that, and once I done it, and being ayahuasca so welcoming, really loving, really a really great initiation, recognizing about the stage I was back then, and to be able just to take it easy so I can really create this bond, this trust, and being able to just feel that I can fully surrender to the medicine until she was able to, okay, it's time to work or for your training process. So I think my relationship began by the introduction that ayahuasca had to me. But of course, that having able to just tighten up or being more stronger the more ceremonies I had. And I believe that the more difficult and difficult and difficult it was getting, the more I was bonding with it. Because I was recognizing that the harder it was getting, the less the medicine was underestimating me, was really seeing a potential, and I was really glad about it. So
Showing you those tests that were necessary in
Yes.
order for you to move to the place where you needed to get to next.
Absolutely, because usually as a young person, especially a woman, being really like, oh, you cannot do this, you're not strong enough for this, you are not ready yet, but ayahuasca was like, no, you are. You are strong enough, you are ready for what you need to go now, and you are gonna be just right. So I really like that kind of perception, especially coming from a mother spirit.
And Don Roba, he comes from the mestizo tradition, that's right, yeah?
Coming from the Lama's place, but yeah, near to the Mestizo lineage too.
Okay. And you were telling me last night, but the village of the Lamas is 2 or 3 days away from Iquitos by boat. Is
Yeah,
that
I would
right?
like to say the fastest will be like 2 days by boat.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you ever been there?
I never been, but many people say that it's gonna be a really small jungle city, just really small, that everyone knows one another. There's not really much there, but if we're going to be talking about energy, people, surrounding, it's gonna be really beautiful. So I know people that just went there for curiosity, and they leave being so amazed and happy. So simple, there's not too much there, but you can live with a lot within. The quietness, the peace, the joy, the nature just filling up inside of your veins, so people feel like, yeah, people here around just look happy with what they have.
And so people come here in the first week and come and drink ayahuasca, and that process is divinely crafted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every ceremony is structured in a particular way. The way that the Icaros are sung from the first ceremony through to the last ceremony is a complete entirety of a cycle of work for those particular people that are in that space, and it is provided by Don Roba and his family, and you're there to assist them and facilitate inside the maloka in the ceremonial aspect when necessary, as well as apprenticing under Don Roba in the tradition that they have. And you were speaking to me about a few of the other plants that they work with as a family, and a few of those plants that have been introduced to you. One of them being mapacho, tobacco.
Correct.
And you told me that he came to you one night in a ceremony, is that right?
Yeah,
and
that's correct. Exactly.
gave
the
you
last
a cup
one.
and
Yes.
said,
That's correct.
and said, here you go. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And did you say that was like 2 or 3 times over the course of a month, or can you remind me how that works?
About how many
With the
times I've been
tobacco,
able to
yeah.
take it. According to the process that I was going to, so basically Don Robert was saying, as his tobacco was quite a really well concentrated, the way how I wanted to go, especially because I was still working with my own medicine like Huachuma and didn't want to interfere too much in that aspect. I needed to take like 1 cup of tobacco every 2 months.
Okay.
So I needed to complete it until a full year for at least as a preparation. So that had been the initiation, being able just to take one every 2 months. And yeah, I think the dosages just have been varying and changing every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the dosage, the spirit was there for sure, no matter what. But the sensation, the challenge, the vibration in it was quite of different from one another.
Mm-hmm.
Probably I would say like similarity in the way when I try to really describe every of them, they can just sound really similar, but the way how I was there, the position and the space just felt like a different channel.
And Don Roba also works with his son. His name is Don Carlos.
Don Carlos, correct?
And he works with another plant called Kamalonga.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct, yeah?
Yes.
And can you speak to me a little bit about the energetics of Kamalonga and the bond between that family and that plant and why they use that plant?
Okay, so basically the Kamalong is going to be well known to be able to be used into healing sessions, something that can be done outside of a ceremonial context or a psychedelic context. Meanwhile, ayahuasca can be more like a master teacher plant, Kamalonga can be more like a healing plant.
Mm-hmm.
But even though people can really get a lot of learning from it as an integration process after the big cycle with ayahuasca or any master plant. So in any kind of different regular settings are going to be used more for when people come and look for something more like superficial or not really deep to the core at how they come with intention in ayahuasca. People can come and saying, I'm having so much fog in my mind, or for some reason my physical energy just feels quite of low or is over vibrating or it doesn't feel settled or balanced, or you feel even an emotional state or something in the solar plexus about your power that is quite of failing. So being able to work with Kamalonga on your skin, taking like flower bath with it or even ingesting it is going to be a really smoother way how the medicine can come to these little details of it without too much of challenge in it. But it's going to be something subtle that starts building up, and it needs to be like a constant treatment rather than ayahuasca that can be done like in a week and you can get a ton out of it. With the healer plants, you need to be constant with it to be able to build up a protection. So it's something that is going to be really specialized on. It's going to be in the throat chakra healing. Anything related with communications, with speaking up, with raising your voice, with unlock the truth. Many people work with that as well. So Kamalong is going to be more like a communication medicine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So the final ceremony in the cycle with ayahuasca, there is a particular song that's called an arcana, and this arcana has the kind of shielding protection of the energetic work that is happening, and when people go from here, that arcana is kind of helping them from allowing any penetrative kind of negative or overwhelming energies from getting into that really deep sacred space that they've been to in the time with ayahuasca, right?
That's correct, yes. The style and how Don Robert like to do it is going to be the arcana in the beginning and then right at the end of the ceremony, to be able to just begin doing the blessing with the agua florida, being able to point on the forehead and the chest, and the ways that even though the arcana, the protection Icaro is going to be placing is going to be all over your body in that is energetic field, what he wants to aim the most to be able to be a concentrated protection is going to be the most vulnerable points, which you're going to be with the medicine, which is the mind and also the heart. So that's why it needs to be like concentrated there while he's doing that. And by doing that, of course, creating that protection, but also being able to open up a channel with it to allow to any communications to be made in between you, the medicine, the higher realms, the spirits, the plants, anything that they try to heal on you, to place on you, or just to communicate with. And once you're able to close down the arcana, it's going to be a way how you can really sit all that channel is in without their going out by any kind of activity or even thoughts or even kind of physical state on the next day. Ayahuasca usually can leave you really tired, exhausted, or just feeling a little bit sick on the next day. And sometimes people start getting a little bit more in a negative mode. So anything that they can be able to get in, all the downloads, that's going to be the easiest way for them to just let them escape out of their body, out of their container. So being able to seal it up is going to be a way about how they can really just try to relax, trust in the medicine, but really keep it inside. So the medicine can keep working even though outside of ceremonial context. And of course, being able to help that as a protection for the integration afterwards, to not allow anything external just vanish so quickly, anything that you work for.
You said there about the biggest part of the arcana being about the mind and the heart. So we'll come to our next conversation in around the basis of Huachumera in a minute, but Juan said something to me really beautiful in our first ceremony the other day, that along the lines of we're programmed to think our way through life, but we're supposed to feel our way through life. And in some ways that, for me, feels like such a strong teaching of Huachumera. How do you feel about that?
I think that's really accurate, actually. I really agree with that.
It seems that in the world that we live in, that we are just so constantly driven to be using our mind all the time to figure things out, to get from one place to the next place, to figure out what's happening here, there. And then when we really stop to feel what's going on within, it's completely different to what's going on in here.
Absolutely. I think I've been able to find myself even in these kind of situations, and when taking the most logical or better decision with the mind, even though it's going to be more like a really serious step forward and what could change or have an impact in the surrounding that you are at. And you just think about, this is the most logical, this is probably the most correct way, this is going to be what people can expect you to do, for them to call that you are in a sane state. But later on, when you stop, you just feel that something is not really fitting in, or something is not really going the path that is meant to be. So if for some reason the decisions you take with your mind just make your heart feel guilty or disappointed or not really in calm and peace, is it really the right choice?
That's true. So you shared something else with me yesterday that was very special, that I think will be a teaching that I'll be pondering on for quite some time. We were talking about the passing of your father, and the moment that you were here, and that this mesa here that we're standing in front of, you were preparing, and he was at home, wasn't he?
He was, yes.
And you went home to see him, but you realized that you needed to come back and get ready for the Huachuma Mesada, because you were taking care of the ceremony. And you explained to me what happened. Do you feel comfortable enough to be able to explain that again?
Absolutely.
Thanks.
I think I'm comfortable with that. So yeah, I was able to not being able to properly finish setting up the mesa, the altar, the one that we're going to be able to work with the medicine with the current group that I had. But I really needed to take time to go and see my dad back home, back in the city, and spending all day with him. And at some point I was just ready to come back because it was already late at night, and said, oh shoot, I really need to build up the mesa. The mesa is going to be just on the next day morning, so otherwise I'm not gonna have any kind of time. And I told my dad to, okay, this is gonna be my time to leave. I'm gonna see you again once I am capable to do so. But he was able to just to hold my hand and tell me, please don't go. And I just look at him and being like, oh, don't worry, I'm gonna be able to come here tomorrow morning again if you really want to see me soon. And he just told me, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. You're not gonna find me here. And I really thought that probably because of him getting sick, he getting more weakened, was part of like saying these kind of things. So I was like really wondering about what should I do now. Should I really stay with my father but leaving the people that came from all over to do this work for doing an intention, a mission, a purpose, a path? Or should I tell him of, let me do this as soon as possible and I'm gonna be able to come as quick as I can. So when I told him, I really need to build up the mesa. This is gonna be the work that you trained me for, so just let me complete it and I'm gonna come back to you. And when I said that, I think he really understood what he really trained me for, right? So he was like, I trained you for this reason, for this purpose, to be able to not allow anything to prevent you from the mission that you're focused on. So he never tried to grab me, to pull me in, or to insist even. He was just like, okay, I love you. And he just let me go, allowed me to be able to just follow the path of service and finishing without trying to hold on his own needs, his own desires, even to what he wanted in that moment. He was like, I'm gonna let you do the work for the good of all, even though that for the good of all might not include me in it. But by you doing that, I think already does. Because you're honoring my work, you're honoring the years I was able to teach you, you're honoring what I lived for. So yeah, and he let me go. I set it up, but as how he just said, the next day he already passed.
Wow.
Mm.
So up until his last moments, he was still thinking about us.
Even on his last moments. So yeah, when I think about that, I just keep so impressed. Even though he had so many things, so many options, if he could have insisted, I could have stayed, but he decided not to do so and just look for the others, always.
What a beautiful soul.
Yeah.
I said to you the other day, it's one of my fondest memories looking at you two when sitting in that boat when I first came here 7 years ago, looking at you two sitting side by side on the boat in the medicine together. Not arms around each other or holding hands or anything like that, but just two beings, one another, honouring each other. There's something so powerful about that image for me, because you also shared with me that you two would come and sit in here in the night, right?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
And you would, did you say you would like open your eyes and look at him sometimes and be like, okay, we're still sitting here? And
yes, I really thought that every time that we come here by our own with no participants, or when they were already going to bed or going to eat, he didn't go to eat, he just stayed here and being like, let's just sit for a while and see what we do or what we find through the medicine. I really thought about, okay, we're gonna have a certain kind of initiation or a different kind of ritual, or he's gonna be speaking about something, I'm going to try to meditate or listen to it in a deep Huachumera state. But when I was sitting and then looking at him, he was just also sitting there, eyes closed, really solemn and deep for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and that was my wonder in that time, like, what are we supposed to do now? But that was what we were supposed to do. And I was like, in that moment didn't get it, but when I was able to do it by my own, doing the same practice, but just sitting with the medicine, and that's it, I was able to get where he was trying to reach with that.
It's so special.
He really is, especially when he doesn't give you instructions. He just like figure it out while you're doing it.
Like I said to you, after one of the first ayahuasca ceremonies, he came up to me one moment in the morning when I was getting breakfast, and I was really going through a big mental kind of battle. And he just came up with the most loving, "How you doing this morning, Jordan?" And I said like, "Oh man, I'm really struggling. I'm having a really hard time. I don't know what's going on." And he just finished putting his breakfast on his plate and just looked at me and smiled and just turned around and walked off. I was just like,
What?
what the heck just happened? Like, what? And then I went to the tree house by myself, and about an hour or two later, and I just cried my heart out for so long. And then went back to ceremony again that night and, worked through more. And, I don't think even then in that moment I knew what was going on, but it wasn't until months, years later that I really realized, like, in that action, he was saying to me, like, I can't figure it out for you, brother, but I can be here for you while you figure it out for yourself.
That's so beautiful.
And I think that was his way with so many people, right?
I believe so, yeah. Because so many people really try an outside force to be able to answer their questions, to be able to tell them how to walk their own path, to be able to figure it out the ways. And it's like, I cannot do that because we are not in the same vibration. We can follow the same path, but at the end we're coming from different directions. So you really need to walk your own. I can listen to you, as you said. I can be with you while you're doing so, but I cannot do it for you. And that's going to be exactly, precisely. And so many people struggle with that by not being told what they need to do.
So you grew up with him in the home. He was always dedicated to Huachumera, and you were also sharing with me that you remember when he was making his medicine, and you were a little girl, and he used to say, "Let me help," and he would pick you up, and he would tell you to stir it, and he would tell you when to put the next thing in and everything.
Yes.
So, and the reality is that you've been learning ever since you were born, really, haven't you?
That's true. Now that I've been able to get more of these, like, memories, is awakening a lot more of awareness out of it. So any casual question that you are just dropping out, or curiosity about how my life was, childhood, my relationship with my dad and everything, I was able to just awaken a little bit more and more and more. Because for many people it was like your training just began when you started drinking the medicine. But it looked like actually was already beginning even before I was able to realize what it even was. The simple fact of being called to help in it, to be in the space, or just to be feeling comfortable to be around it, was already an initiation.
I think that speaks so much to the work with these plants anyway, doesn't it? That, like, there's so much work that, let's maybe not call it work, but there's so much preparation that can go into this practice before you actually bring the cup to your lips.
I believe so too.
I was chatting with you yesterday about dosages.
Yep.
And, I think I've experienced in some places, and there's this kind of story out there around, like, oh, well, how much is the dose? How much is the dose? And, people always people who have never drunk ayahuasca before go to an ayahuasca retreat and drink as much ayahuasca as they can and go into a really unknown situation, and it kind of freaks them out, but they kind of push on anyway. And not that that doesn't bring healing benefits, but I guess what I was saying to you is like when you know in your heart that the dosage that you're taking, when you know in your heart the medicine that you're taking, when you know in your heart where you're going, where you're aiming, and like it coupling with your intention in life, like really like not bringing any doubt into like, no, the reason I'm here is because of this. And then maybe some voice comes up of, no, you're not here because of that. It's like, no, the more you can not listen to that noise and really be with the truth of your intention, the truth of that trusting in your own heart and trusting in your own being and trusting in God, and really, really, really knowing where you are, that you can, it gives you the ability to really go into the medicine space, right?
That's correct, yes. It's gonna be something that mainly people, I think right now is changing a little bit because people are more open to be able to listen to advices, to really build up a relationship, but sometimes it can be like, the medicine is not working if I'm not totally incapacitated in the medicine. And being like, what's the purpose of it if you're gonna be totally smashed down and not really with the medicine, communicating with the medicine, interacting with the medicine, you are not even capable to listen to the medicine. Everything is just going to be like a blurry vibration that you're gonna barely really understand any kind of words or letters, or even to understand the visual side, the internal side. So yeah, as you mentioned, people can drink more if they have the ability and being able to practice how to handle more. They can always go higher, but if for some reason they need less, it's going to be the sweet spot for them with the medicine. That's when the relationship happens, and once that's where the healing happens. So overtaking something is not going to give you more, it's just going to overflow your energy.
So when we begin our Huachumera mesadas, there's 3 themes. There's a theme to each mesada.
That's correct.
Our first mesada we had the other day was the theme of Huachumera. Can you speak to Huachumera a little bit?
So at least for this tradition and the work in the channel that we really try to open up in the first mesada is going to be by the way of honoring, communicating, and allow to be guided by the mother spirit of the water, Huachumera, which is going to be a representation of the guardian who allows the channels, the gates to be open so we can transition into the lower realm. The being able to recognize the history, the origin of where we are really coming from, where is the beginning of our soul, where is the beginning of it, or at least how it began or it started up. So being able to recognize how the water has been able to be the entity, the presence, the element that always been there, even before any other kind of life was created. And if for some reason the life in general is destroyed, water is always going to remain there at the end. It's going to be the only one who can really hold the real story of absolutely everything. So many lives, so many stories, so many different kind of roles, so many kind of evolutions. And everything is just written in the water, but only if you can really see through it. If you can really just access that dimension and not only seeing the surface of it. So many people, usually in the first mesada, struggles a little bit because the origin is going to be quite related to, some people call it like our past. So a lot of people have this kind of like bad relationship with it, are probably ashamed about their past, their origin, or just being able to not really recognize and be proud of it. So for many people, it's going to be like a little bit over shaky energy, but when people are able to just bond, accept the past, and being able to recognize what those learnings brought them to, just the waves of that water can just become easier to navigate because you're not fighting against them, you're not trying to erase them, you don't try to prescribe on them, just accept that that's what it was, that's what happened, And yeah, I'm just coming from it. It doesn't mean that that exactly or specifically needs to mean what I am, because if for some reason was a bad wave, you just learn from it and you change. And if for some reason was a good wave, you still change from it. You just got a better improvement, a better growth out of it. So that the lower world is able to really teach us about however the vibration you began your waves with, you are not there, you are more.
So we step up to the mesa for our first ceremony, and you do an energetic cleansing on each person who is here before we
You drink the medicine.
drink our medicine. And then we go on a little boat ride, and we went to visit a tribe by the name of
Alamas.
And they are continuing to go up the Rio Momong.
Correct.
And that is still on the Rio Momong where we went off to go to their village?
Correct. They still
Okay.
the Rio Momong.
Can you remind me a little, because I was a little bit finding it hard to concentrate when the chief was speaking the other day, but she said something about that tribe, they came from Ecuador, but there is a story about them, something to do with the ashes of their bodies are burning the ashes underground or something.
Correct, yes. So in this tradition, really, really old ones, as you know, every kind of tribe or culture or everyone who was native, their way of really being able to deal with a dead body container was to be able to burn them under the ground. And it was their way in how the body can naturally just decompose and be one back to the air, just going back home with it. So for these people, they have like a different kind of method to do so, which was doing natural crematories with the bodies, being able to just put like a body in a specific open field and being able to build like a little house with a lot of logs on just around the body, some decoration to be able to honor the spirits who just passed in this physical realm, and just put fire on, sit around it until the whole body fully becomes ashes with the rest of the wood. And that for them was like a quicker way for how the earth are gonna be able to soak in the ashes and be totally melt down without having the leftovers of the bones, the skulls, or anything else, but can really be used to really nurture the ground as a part of it. So for them, that was the way how the earth were all the spirits of the community, of the family. So that's why they were able to just continue with their agriculture, with their cultivation, because for them every fruit, every food coming out of it was also the nutrients from the families that already passed. So that's why for them was a way how the spirit was just coming back to the tribe, was not getting somewhere else, just going back as a cycle, giving to the earth and the earth giving back to them. So it's just going around and around. So back then, compared to many other different tribes like maybe Shipibo or Bora, Yawas, Kukama, that each of these names are going to have like a meaning in their own language about what is really going to be the thing that represents the tribe, what is going to be able to be the characteristic of this kind of people. The Lamas were not really aware about their people were called a Lama. They didn't really have like a specific name. Back then, they were just people. But it was the surrounding, especially by the language Quechua that they speak, which is not the same as Quechua, it's a different kind of language.
Okay.
So in that word, they used to call them Alamas, 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 because Alamas comes to mean ashes. So as they were the only people who were really doing like crematories back then comparing to other person around, it was like, okay, these people are called like ashes people because they like to turn into ashes when they pass.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
It is so fascinating.
And that is a lot more detail than I captured the other day.
A tiny bit more.
And what was her name?
From the chief?
Yeah.
Merli.
Melly. Okay. She had a blow.
A pukuna.
Pukuna. That's
Correct.
the name of it.
Yes.
So I asked you a question then about their style of hunting. So we all got the opportunity to with the pukuna to fire a blow dart into a small mask that they had in the roof of their maloka. And I was asking you around at what distance they could fire this pukuna at an animal, and the other question that I didn't ask you was what kind of venom do they put on the end of it, and how does it work when they're hunting an animal with the pukuna?
Okay, so basically for this weapon, it's gonna be really traditional and common for many jungle people from many different tribes, and probably it's gonna be the most common or even preferred way for hunting for many people. The length, about the distance, about how this weapon can really reach is going to really depend on the length of the weapon. If it is shorter, it needs to be more for closer distances, like 5 or even 10 meters, but for the size of the one that she had, it was extremely long, it can reach like 40-meter distance. And it's really going to depend about how people, because as soon as they just come closer and closer to an animal, the easier they can detect them. Their energy, their presence, any slightly sound, they're gonna be able to hear it and run away. So they needed to create this mechanism to be far enough for not being detected, but also being able to get to aim to what they really want to hunt. So for that, they just really need to just practicing with their blowing ability, with about the capacity in their lungs. And as you can be able to experience, it doesn't need to be something hard, something difficult, or something really complicated, but just really being able to be conscious about your breathing, about how long it's going, about the strength of it. And yeah, usually the venom that they like to use with is going to be either frog venom or snake venom.
Okay.
So they find, or for some reason, if they just found these venomous snakes, which are going to be really common, especially for people who live in the middle of the forest, to just show it up. They just hunt them and being able to extract the venom from their fangs. And with the frog, to be able just to segregate the oil or the skin that it has on it, being able just to collect them into a tiny pot, because not really much venom needs to be needed. Just get it a little bit into the venom, at least the part of the, how you call it?
Like the tip of the
dart?
Of the dart,
Dart,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And they just need to place it in, and they basically know that they only have like one blow or one aim before the animal can freak out and run away. So meanwhile, they can blow it hard enough for the dart to penetrate the first layer of the skin. That's more than enough. And I think depending if it's going to be a small animal, the venom can just act faster. But if it's going to be a big mammal, they really need to wait and follow the animal until the venom actually has effect on them. And they said it does not like immediately kill them, because the amount of the venom is really minimum, but it's only going for them to be like sleepy and numb and just like faint or fall asleep, and that's when they catch it.
Okay.
So many of them can either kill them immediately because they need to eat, or they just keep them into a little farm for raise them, to be able to just keep raising, farming them, so they don't need to keep hunting, but they can just have their food providing there.
Wow, that is fascinating.
It's a really interesting technology.
Yeah. So if you are really hungry, you need the best person to fire the pukuna, right?
Yeah. So usually they learn, all of them, how to do so, especially men.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they're gonna really aim for something specific and they really don't want to miss any chance, they're always gonna be one who is just the expert on it.
Do you think they would take down a big animal with it?
A big animal.
Maybe like a pig or something, or
like a pig, yeah. If it's a young pig, yeah. But if it's gonna be like a really big adult fat pig, probably even 2 or 3 darts before you actually feel something.
Oh, okay.
Because I think the pig is gonna have more like a really hardened skin, so it's gonna be its armor. So that's gonna be protecting them. So they're mainly aimed for the young ones.
I see. So the language that she was speaking to us, it's not Quechua. Okay. That language is so beautiful, but it sounds like there's no space in between the words.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it just goes, but the vibration of the language is so amazing.
I can really agree with that.
I was listening to a guy speak about the Shipibo language that I was telling you about last night, that he did either a master's or a PhD in indigenous language, and he studied the Shipibo language and the Iquitos of the Shipibo to kind of find out more about their language, and kind of believes that a lot of the languages that come from the Amazon, a lot of the indigenous languages in the Amazon come from a very like vibratory resonation with the earth. Like a lot of them kind of come, like some of their words, I can't quite remember some of them in Shipibo, but even the way that they sound is very related to the way that the action is of the word. So like the kind of vibration of the word is like very close to its kind of meaning and nature in some ways.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I really like that. That makes a lot of sense with that.
And to be in a Huachumera state and to get to experience, to go, you know, to go on the boat and to go up the river and walk through the forest. And we were lucky that, well, I don't know if we were lucky or unlucky, but I think we were lucky that it was very, very wet and there was huge puddles of water everywhere, and we took our shoes off and just walked in the earth, and just to get the opportunity to go and do these things with, you know, with you and with your family that's built this really close relationship with these people is just so special, you know? I don't think a lot of people quite know the places that they're going to go to when they drink Huachumera here.
They have no idea.
Yeah.
Yes. It's always a surprising spot for them.
Yeah. So we come on to our second ceremony. Can you speak a little more about the second ceremony?
So the Mother Spirit, that now they're going to be able just to be bonding a little bit more and to awaken more awareness, but not only visually, but really about the real essence force that it carries with her. It's going to be about the Mother Spirit Pachamama, basically just the Mother Spirit of the earth. That one is going to be mainly related to the realm that we all just exist here in a human form. Just the middle road, the nature, life, how everything is going to be constructed with a physical container. But if we're going to be able to trespass the first layer of it, we're going to be able to get more into the real essence of what forms the human experience, what makes us to be human, and what is really going to be the real meaning of being in this world right now. Because basically for this world, we always like to be able to honor the process of transformation, because a human, however it goes from a young age, from a teenage age to an adult one to a really old one, is always going to be in a constant transformation. And sometimes people think about it's only going to be about how ages just keep going and the how you get older and older and older physically, but how the change is really happening within. But this transformation can be really a lot of variations. It depends about how you are really being aware of the impact this transformation that you're going through really is having all around you in this reality itself, or how unaware you are on it. When people are not aware of the real surrounding and importance of this earth that we are in, the transformation look like quite of going backwards rather than really going forward. But if you are awakening about how important every action, every decision, every step that you take is going to be just changing the state of the world that not only you live in, but your family, your friends, your loved one, other good people who are really doing the work as well, and even the following generation, the kind of the world that you really like to leave behind for new humans, new souls, new spirit, to be able just to find their own way of improvement, their own way of depth, their own way of enlightenment is going to be about. I think that's the way how people being able to recognize how much they're being able to really impacts not only out but within, and that transformation process can be so important. And we always try to really being able to make people also aware of the awakening of the jaguar within, being able to be more represented about the fearlessness that we can bring to this world, and also being able to be aware about how much you are really holding yourself back from trying new things, from changing old things, or to be able to implant a specific path or a way that you really believe on. Because many people can have so much fear for absolutely anything, even though it can be for other people, can be either for even yourself, or you don't really know what is really going to happen. So the way of having the middle road in this mesada is going to be about how much you can really let go all of that. And even though Huachuma can challenge you with a little bit of confrontation in the meanwhile, can be by the vibration, can be by a thought, or can be by a situation, how much you can even feeling fear, you cannot be domained by it, not allowing the jaguar within being domained by the fear that your mind is creating, and how much really the fearlessness coming from the heart by the decision about, I'm here for a reason, I'm here for a path, I'm here for a goal, I'm going to make it happen, can really take possession for it. So that's why many of the things that we do, many of the things that we introduce, even the rituals can have a little bit of this fear triggering spot to be able just to awaken it up if it is ready.
And on this ceremony, we go to a it's a land, isn't it? No, it's not a village where the
It's a land, yeah.
yeah. But it's a very special land, isn't it? There's a lot of big, beautiful medicine trees there.
Medicine trees, a lot of medicine memories, a lot of different kind of energy that just come and live. So yeah.
And there's a small, beautiful river there like, for swimming. And
yeah, the well known as the Enchanted Stream.
And we meet with the what is the name of the tribe?
The name of this tribe is going to be Murui Bue.
Okay. And where are they originally from?
They're going to be originally from Colombia, but the current generation is going to be from really, really passed down. So I would say the grandfather from the current chief, which is Doña Zoila, he was the one who brought their family from Colombia into the Peruvian lands and being able just to stay. Correct, yes. So yeah. That's the region where they were coming from, but they also explained me how the Murui tribe is going to have like so many different branches and communities as well. And they, as I already mentioned, she always liked to make their examples using plants as her best way of wisdom and understanding. So she was saying like the Murui itself is going to be like the tree, the base of it. But the language they speak is going to be really different. So that is going to be what the branches come on. So Bue is going to be like the language that they speak, so that's why they are Murui Bue. And other people can find like Murui Huitoto with the Huitoto language and any other kind of vibrations also.
Okay.
But right now, the ones that I can be aware that are here in the Peruvian lands are only the Murui Bue.
Okay.
So.
And Doña Zoila, she was your father's best friend, wasn't she?
Absolutely. Yeah, he always loved to be able to introduce her in that way. She was not like, oh, she's the chief of the tribe, or she's a woman leading this place. Like, no, here I introduce you to my best friend. It was always how she loved to do it. Yeah.
I think she told a story when I was there, when I came here last time. She told a story that he was just walking around there and found her picking some plants in the forest. Is that right?
That's correct.
And
yeah.
he loved reptiles. So he said, "Can you take me to see some reptiles?" And she said, "Yeah, I'll take you." Is that right?
That's exactly correct. Precisely how it happened. And it's really interesting because usually my dad was able just to know where the other tribes are located because they can be known, like well known by the locals, by the villages, or even by the city. So going and visit them, offer them their support. What with Zoila, it was like, of course, he doesn't believe in coincidences, so I don't think calling it a coincidence meeting was a really proper name, but was not expecting to really meet her, not going with the purpose of meeting someone or find out someone to be able to help a tribe. No, he just wanted to see snakes. And he just found the perfect person to really know the areas, the palm of her hands, and show him all the snakes that he wanted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's so amazing.
And they just became friends ever since then.
Yeah, for my dad, she was one of the most loyal friends that he could have.
Mm-hmm.
He had so many outside people that he worked with. Most of them betraying him for their own personal reasons, but Doña Zoila always stayed firm in loyalty with him.
And her family calls him the messenger of peace, right?
Yes, the messenger of peace. She really was really accurate with it, and when she explained the reason why they call him like that, always filled me out with so much proud and love and admiration.
So you remember her from when you were a little girl, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
She was like another mum to you.
Yes, exactly. When I used to also play with her kids, and we were growing together, and then being able to see how they just grew and changed. If I see pictures, I'm able to see like, damn, there's a big difference. But if I just try to see them, I don't see different because I see them all the time, every month, and we were just growing together. So the faces didn't really change for my memories, but yeah.
And so people, when they come here, it's not just to interact with the medicine, is it? It's to interact with the environment, to interact with this peaceful land, this peaceful land here that we're on, to interact with yourself and your family. And I will say that this is, it's a family mission, isn't it? You know, you're all carrying the mission together.
Yes.
And also getting to connect with these people who have been formed through relationships, through the work that your father and your family have done for years and years and years. And the continuation of that process is like ever bearing fruits, isn't it? Because that relationship gets deeper as we all grow together.
Absolutely. And the more that you've been able to fortress that. Okay.
So we were talking about like these relationships bearing fruits forever as we all grow together. Yeah.
Yeah, I really believe that the more that you've been able to just fortress yourself in this growing of the tree, just being able to make it more sustainable, more grounded, and really allow those roots to be able to really grab its own ground, the fruits are just going to come more beautifully, more fresher, more healthier, and that's the way how you can really just share around the fruits that you grow, the fruits that you've been able to cultivate with a specific mission. Because if your tree is not really well cultivated, well grounded, the fruits are not really going to come up. So if it does not come up, what you really have to share.
So how do we keep cultivating our tree outside of being here?
By being able to stay or stand up for your grounds, for the reason that you really began the work with, because for many people, they're being able to just calm and thinking about just because you drink the medicine, you get the lessons here, you understand or you accept it. Once you go back home, it's going to be like, okay, I've done the work, I don't need to worry about anything else. So the medicine and the universe is just going to work on my side just because I was willing to take the medicine. So when people, it's going to be really common, and I've seen it many times, people coming with so many beautiful intentions for themselves, for sharing, for providing, but once they go back home, they just behave or do their life as how they did even before they came here. And it's like, what was the impact? What was the transformation? What was the change? What was really the intention? You're just behaving the same way that you wanted to change before you even came here. So if you are not willing to really be aware of the patterns, the decisions, the things that you really want to change and allow the medicine to really help you with the integration, it's not going to cultivate anything. You're just allowing the seed the medicine placed in you, which is going to be the new opportunity, the new start, the new beginning, so you can really raise your intention, you tree from it. If you don't take care of it, it's just going to rot, it's just going to vanish, and it's going to go away as nothing happened here. So being able to really take serious the integration and where we are really coming from, or where we are going from here, is going to make a big difference in where you are, and which kind of position or path you are really taking.
And there's no rush to get back to this work again, is there? There's so much healing coming and just taking the time in between cycles.
Yeah, because at the end the downloads are just there. The medicine keep working even outside of a ceremonial context, because the integration itself is going to be placing so many different either challenges or tests or little missions or even opportunities to take, which are going to help you up and how to allow these downloads to just bloom, to come back to you, or just for help you to remember, or to have the opportunity to apply them. Because you can know the ways, you can have the tool, but if you don't use them in real life, what are they for? They're basically for nothing. So it's really common for people to say the integration has been the more hard work that I was able to have after a cycle of medicine, because you really need to be conscious and really do an action. You are not just sitting, dealing with internal stuff. You are not just being in the nature, enjoying the view. You are having an action into the real world, into this human form. And that is going to be seen, is going to be able to be even judged by the people around, which can be your friends or not, but can be just being trying to take you backwards, right? And having these challenges is what people say, if it's going to be this difficult, I better don't do it. So if you're really going to be willing to use all the tools, that's when the change really happens.
I want to talk about the last Huachumera ceremony, but I also feel that there's an element of surprise to it, because I will say that we're actually only through 2 ceremonies in this cycle of work right now. But maybe you can speak a little bit to the theme of the last ceremony, and how it gives us the perspective of the 3 worlds.
Yeah. So the last mesada is usually we coming for the ascension process, to be able how our frequencies can really escalate up and up, for the communications, the blessings are going to be able to be made in between the higher realm, which many people call like a heavenly state, a heavenly realm, a heavenly world, and how that can be connected to the human body, how we're going to be able just to transcend into these dimensions and to be able to recognize about what Huachumera is about. Remember, when Huachumera can be like, Huachumera doesn't make you find heaven, being like, oh, I just figured it out, I found it, it's in this place or there, but to be able to realize that heaven is going to be where your heart just feels calm, feels happy, feels the strongest, wherever you are. That is going to be a really heavy state. So being able to live in a Huachumera state is going to be something that the last Huachumera really tried to teach you. How much you can learn to be balanced in a Huachumera vibration, how much you can soak in the appreciation, the love, the wonders, the being out of your head state and being able to get more in a regulated state in your heart, how much you can be grounded on your spot, and how you can be able to be in that state for your following life after the ceremonies are going to be done. So those are going to be the downloads that you're going to be able to get in, especially on the last. Because on the first, you're going to be dealing with your origin, In the second one, you are just about the realization of the transformation process will constantly go on. So the last one is going to be about where are we really going from here? What are we really taking back home, and how we really want to live our lives from here? And what is going to be the final destination of this work? So usually people like to relate this last day as a death mesada, because that's going to be about how you are going to end up your life being like. So we always like to recognize this by the communications in the higher realm, which are going to be represented by two specific spirits. The first and the second are all like feminine, like only a motherly presence. But in this last one, is so important to have a balanced guidance from us. So we are having the connection with Waira Mama, the mother of the wind, but also the deep and solid presence of Hanak Taita, which is the father sky. So we can have as much the feminine, as much the masculine, to be able to hold on both sides strongly. So heart can purely vibrate in the middle of it, to be the axis mundi, the middle point in between these two worlds, and how we can find the perfect balance and the strongest point to follow our hearts. Many people feel more comfortable in the feminine, that's great. So many people feel more confident in the masculine, that's great. But if you are only going to lean to one side, the balance is never going to happen. So the last one, being able to have these two parents, being able to walk us as kids, is going to be able to recognize how much really we can understand the both sides, the both roles, and how everything is meant to be united, is meant to be one, and is meant to be able to contribute to one another. So yeah, in this process, many people just feel more calmed, more alignment, because it's going to be the realm that does not underestimate your abilities at all. Mm-hmm. It's going to be able to just see about, this is what the heaven really see you capable for, and that's what it's going to give to you. And being able to recognize that having that trust is just make the waves of the wind just more manageable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I've got no words to thank you about how much you mean to me, because you had such a huge impact on my life and continue to every day. And you're a sister to me and a best friend to me, and I'm so grateful that I've met you in this life, and that we get to learn from one another, and the opportunity to come here and learn from you. And I just thank you so much for being willing to sit down and have this conversation with me.
I'm so honored for you to allow me to just speak out with you at a more deeper state. As I mentioned, every time that you come, I always wake you with so much joy and happiness, because I always know that you're going to bring such new memories, and those memories just carry new lessons, awareness, or even realizations of things that I could have forgotten. Because at the end of the day, I'm also still human, and my mind can trigger with me sometimes. And being able to just stand on with even things that my father was able to share with you but couldn't have enough time to share with me. As I mentioned to you, sometimes I feel my father is able to communicate through you to me. So I really have you as my father present as well.
Gracias, mi hermana.
Gracias.